Left in Kentucky, the podcast of Indivisible Northern Kentucky. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Season 4, Episode 2 of Left in Kentucky. Woohoo!
The dog's even barking here, apparently, for it.
That's great. I love it when everybody's excited for it. Boy, are my dogs barking.
Yeah.
But bump.
We're a little slap happy. Can you tell, guys?
Just a bit. So it's been let's see, it's been a couple of weeks since we were on, and it is, oh my God, the hot weather last week. I thought I was gonna die.
That's the hot Roberto Henriquez. And I am the toasty Amy Ferguson. And then there's the sizzling Ann Dickerson.
Ooh, sizzling.
Ooh, sizzling.
I'm sorry, like the heat metaphors were just flying around. It just grabbed one. You know.
You make me sound like a piece of bacon.
Now, don't get all crazy now.
Oh, moi, go crazy, please. Let me tell you though, the hot weather, I've got to say, the memes going around about the heat, especially as they relate to certain things, I've been laughing so hard, it's helped me get through it.
Some cool jokes.
Well,
that was so lame. Like, I even hurt myself a little bit on that.
That was so lame. That may make my cow patty list today. I may change it up.
You may have to hobble into it.
Oh God, you guys are killing me.
I mean, I warned our audience that we were a little slap happy. So
Yep. So
no pharmaceuticals involved either, guys. This is all just straight.
Nice. So let's see. I think last week, Amy, I think you started us off last week on cow patties. Ann, why don't you start us off this week?
No. Dump your load.
Let me back up the truck.
Beep, beep, beep.
You need a big one.
I do, because given today, it's the only place that my cow patty could go would be to the Roberts Court. It just is. And, I'll repeat something that I put out individually on Twitter, which is that, the Roberts Court is going to go down in history as the one group that did more damage to the Constitution than any other at any point in time in history. The things that we're seeing come out of this court, especially this year, are just mind numbing. The blathering and in the way these are written, points of law aren't even used.
I know.
They come up with some of the most obscure things to cite. Did they have people scratching their heads? I mean,
I was scratching something.
Yeah, for real. Historians are going to refer to this time as the age of anti-intellectualism. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
So
because,
says Ann. Bing.
Well, first we eliminated 50 some odd years of precedent. Today they wiped out 100 years of precedent. Like, what ground do you have to stand on to eliminate these kinds of things? And the fact that so many rulings today, 3 in particular, came out with regard to the Second Amendment, which has, the lunatic fringe like Thomas Massey salivating.
Yeah. His gun's probably moist today.
Oh.
Thanks for that mental image.
Why that popped out of my mouth? Gosh.
You know how much I'm going to have to drink to kill those brain cells now?
It's just the drool dripping. I mean, it's not.
Oh, he licked that puppy clean. I mean, I don't know if you remember. You just gave me a great visual, though. Did you guys ever watch Criminal Minds?
Yes.
I did not.
There's that. Okay, there's this one episode where the bad guy is going around killing people during the rolling blackout in Los Angeles.
Oh,
And
it's
every time-
Tim Curry. I know exactly
It
which
was-
episode you're talking
Yes,
about.
yes. And every time before he loaded his gun, it showed him slow licking each bullet, like
Yes. Which I think would hurt the aerodynamics, really.
Oh, I've got to watch that episode. It's got
You
Tim
actually-
Curry licking bullets.
Yes, it does. And he looks, oh my
'Cause I
gosh,
love
like
Tim
a
Curry.
nightmare walked around and like put Tim Curry's face on or
It's
something
no
like
different
I
than
don't know.
Thomas Manson doing it in his bunker. I mean, come on.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
much more different than that.
It is a little different. Just a little different. You're right though, Robert's Court, bad.
So it
Well,
was the,
and so,
Yeah.
we can get into some of the more salient points later, but
Which we will.
they definitely earn my cow patty.
Yes.
well deserved. I agree. Amy,
That's me.
yeah, that's you.
So for my cow patty, I'm gonna do a little blast from the past and give it to our former governor, Matt Bevin. Because, he hasn't had one in so long. He's starting to feel bad about it. So I felt I needed to give him one.
It's like
And the reason he gets one,
he keeps turning up. He's like a bad penny covered in shit.
it's like herpes, kind of. So it's
Just when you
happened-
think it's gone, it breaks out again.
Right. It's exactly like herpes. So if you don't recall, Bevin pardoned over 400 people before he left office, right before he left. Willy-nilly. I think he just wanted to cause some mayhem. I really do. Like there was some of these pardons, there was kind of like, why?
Mhm.
But one of his pardonees has again found themselves in legal trouble. And this dude has been going around Kenton County strangling people. So I've dubbed him the Kenton County Strangler, but thank goodness no one was killed. Thanks Bevin for that, I guess. I don't know, but he's just like the turd from the Trump heap, like Bevin is just like what a small town Trump would be. And so let's hope that he never graces us with his presence in Kentucky politics ever again.
Yeah,
Word.
the whole issue around pardons. I mean, we could do an entire episode, and maybe we should do a whole episode about pardons and the pardoning process and kind of break it down, because governors and presidents get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of pardon requests. And you hope that there's some vetting process that's done before some of those are approved. But when you get a whole slew of them, especially right at the end of somebody's term, it really makes you wonder, okay, how much of these have been vetted, and
It's
how
pay
much,
to play.
Yeah,
Let's all be real about it.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good one. I think we should spend an episode digging in on that in the future.
Let's dig. Probably find
Let's
a patty
dig.
down there.
Yep.
Petrified.
All right. So I guess it's down to me.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. My cow patty for this week goes to someone who was running for Newport City Commissioner, Steve Meggerly. And this is a story that goes with this. So this past primary, I was a poll worker. I've been a poll worker in the past. I enjoy doing it. I like being part of the process, and I've done it for a number of years. So I was the sheriff at our location. One poll worker gets appointed as sheriff and is responsible for making sure that everybody's following the rules and whatnot.
Did you get like a star badge?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't.
lame.
Nor did I get a bullet, licked or otherwise.
I'm gonna get you a badge to wear next time. I think you're allowed to do that. Like a if it's not shiny, maybe.
So we're standing there, and well, I'm standing there, and the workers are sitting, and everything's going fine, and suddenly this person comes breezing into the room, and I'm like, if you're here to vote, check with the clerk. They'll take your name and whatnot. He's like, oh no, I'm good. And just breezes right past me. I'm just like, excuse me? I said, this is, if you're not here to vote or you're not a poll watcher, you can't be here. And he's like, well, I'm just talking to this person that's working the table, one of my fellow party members. I'm like, well, you can't do that. I party member or not, unless you're, like I said, unless you're here to vote or unless you're a poll watcher. Well, I'm a poll watcher. You can call the clerk's office and ask them. They'll tell you. Like, well, we have a list of poll watchers right here. Let's check the list and we'll check you in and make sure that that's cool. And he just looks at me. He's like, fine, whatever. And he turns to walk away and start to walk out the door. And I tell him, hey, I'm don't be upset with me. I'm just, those are the rules, and that's the way we have to run it. And he turns and he holds up his hand, right? Like stop in the name of love.
Yeah.
Holds up his hand and goes, you don't have to say anymore. Just, you don't have to say anymore. I'm leaving. And turns and storms out. And the questions he was asking before he stormed out was, he was trying to find out how many people had voted, how many Republicans had voted. So first off, we don't keep a running tally of how many people voted, and we definitely don't keep a running tally of how many voted for which party.
Right.
Now, of course, in a primary, you can only vote for the party you're registered for. You can't vote for the other party. So I called the clerk's office and explained what happened and whatnot, and wrote it up in my report. But you talk about, we hear all this stuff about election integrity and maintaining the integrity of the polling place and stuff like that. Well, here's an example of stuff that actually happens in a polling place. So, Steve, congratulations. You get my cow patty.
Yeah, Steve is the one that did that. Is he the one that came in there and did that to you?
Yes. Yes.
And what was he running for?
Newport City Commission.
Y'all heard it here first. Yeah.
Yeah. When he came in, I was like, he looks familiar, and I couldn't quite figure it out. And then after he left, I was like, was that? And the other workers were like, yeah, that's him. So.
Wow. That takes some cojones.
Yeah,
it does. We all three know that is a no-no.
Yep. So anyway, those are our cow patties for this week. Bullhorn. What?
Well, speaking of poll workers, I mean, that lady from Georgia. Oh my gosh. She and her family, what was her name? Shay or something, I think.
On the January 6th hearings.
So bullhorn to all the poll workers out there.
Yeah,
y'all help keep our democracy going.
Yeah, they do. I mean, and most times we're hurting for poll workers at the polls. We're trying to find people. Sometimes it's hard to find enough people. That's one of the reasons that they reduced the number of polling locations this year, is because it's hard to find enough workers for all the polling locations. Of course, that makes it more difficult for people that have transportation issues, because now some of them have to go further to vote
Sure.
on election day. But get involved.
Come
That's
on,
another way you can get
Secretariat.
involved. If you don't want to, if you don't want to get involved with a specific candidate, become a poll worker.
Yep.
It's paid. It doesn't pay a ton, but it does pay a little bit, and it's a good way to help out and do your civic duty. And honestly, it's it's been a great experience for me. No secret, I'm a Democrat. Always get along with the Republicans at the polls. We have a great time. As a matter of fact, this last time, and I'll give a bullhorn to one of my fellow coworkers at the poll, Kate, who's a Republican.
Yay, Kate.
I had a couple of people challenge me, a couple of voters challenge me, because they were standing around talking, and I was like, you need to leave. And they started to get, all offended because I asked them to leave when they were done voting. And she was right there. She jumped to my defense, and we had some great conversation. Do we agree on a lot of our politics? Nope.
Yep.
But we found a lot of common ground, and we get along really well. So
You love it.
we need more of that out there. More of that.
Yes.
Friendships don't always have to come down to who you voted for. Once upon a time, they didn't.
Oh, I dreamed a dream.
Oh.
If ever there was an argument for 100% universal mail-in ballot voting, there you go.
Yes.
Yep. Any other bullhorns?
Oh, I want to give a shout out to the Kentucky Supreme Court, because we do give credit where credit's due. And they struck down, well, they basically made it so the police cannot access cell phone location data without a warrant, because they were doing it willy-nilly whenever they wanted. So good on the Supreme Court for nominally protecting our Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. You should have to have a warrant for that, just like they have to have a warrant to listen to your phone calls and anything else. So no, yeah, definitely well deserved. All right. And now,
So Anne, no bullhorns from Anne.
Oh.
Sour Anne.
Ugh.
that
Great
did not
sound.
sound like a bullhorn.
Well,
You
it sounded more like a bull than a bullhorn does.
I will give one, and it may surprise you, it may not. I will give a bullhorn to our governor, Andy Beshear.
Yeah.
Under the guise of promises made, promises kept. He is, in my opinion, he is doing an exceptional job as governor. And, he's really doing some great things for Kentucky economically, despite all of the self-state sabotage that the Republican Party has tried to do. He's been able to attract a lot of money, new businesses, and is following through. He broke ground, I think, was it today or yesterday? I can't remember.
I think it was
Either
yesterday.
this morning or yesterday in Western Kentucky on
bridge,
finishing. Yeah. So good on him for that. I mean, despite.
You know what, Anne? It's amazing what
Yeah.
can get done when you're focused on helping the people of of the state instead of lining your own pockets. Imagine. It's
Well,
amazing.
it's not, and it's not just a matter of lining your own pockets. It's that, when you're in a position like he is in, he is the most popular Democratic governor in the country. And it's because of his actions, speaking just as loudly as his words. And this is a governor who really has been prevented from having any type of agenda. And it's because he's completely blocked across the board with our supermajority state legislature. I mean, it doesn't matter if he vetoes something, they have the votes to override. It doesn't matter if there's something that he really, really wants done through the legislature and works hard to get it. They can block anything they want. But when it comes to doing things for the people of Kentucky that he promised, in terms of jobs, in terms of economic growth, in terms of finishing projects, he's followed through. So I have to give him mad kudos for that.
Well deserved, Bullhorn.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's well deserved. So
Makes it all worth it, doesn't it, Anne?
Okay, let's not go too far.
Oh, come on. I remember those cold wash rags I had to put around your neck.
Oh, girl. Oh, makes that worth it? Yes. Yes. I mean, I remember between then, what's so funny, and this is going to be a quick aside, is the July 4th parade in Fort Mitchell where I almost passed out because it was so hot. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Between that and then, knocking close to 10,000 doors for Andy Bashir. And like you said, Amy, with your house being the headquarters for me there and all of that area, it was like I come dragging in.
Yep.
Shoo-wee.
Good work.
Good for my body, though.
Good work.
Oh, holy moly.
Yep. Hey, we got another one of those gubernatorial races coming up next year.
Oh, you know what? Anne, I heard a rumor.
It's our new segment. I heard a rumor.
I did. And it was, it's kind of shocking, really. I don't know. Should I share it? I mean,
Tell us.
I
Just
really
us.
think you should.
Well, a candidate for our gubernatorial race that will be named Barbie Fembot. I heard a rumor that she went to the library, and she checked out all the queer books, all of them. And they had a good old-fashioned book burning. But you know how she got away with it? She went into the library, she disguised herself as Chuck Schumer, and she got all those books. They gave them to her. And wait. That doesn't mean she's trans, though. It doesn't.
That is quite the rumor.
I got a picture of her dressed as Chuck Schumer. I swear it is. It's a little grainy, but you can tell it's her.
Now we do have to say that this is just a rumor. We're not saying it's true. Just
right. That picture could be totally made up.
There are people who say. There are those who say.
Well, I mean, everybody is saying it. Everybody I talk to. My dog even was talking about that picture. It scared her. Traumatized. And the smell of those books. I mean, that's what it smelled like to me. It smelled like queer book to me.
I think you're killing Anne here.
You need some resuscitation.
See, I don't hear any great rumors. That's why I love being on this show. This is where I hear my rumors now.
I think it might just be the voices in my head, but it could be a rumor.
Or does the majority of the voices in your head say that it's true?
Yeah, they're convinced.
Well, there it is.
Case closed. God.
I think that's because I'm pretty sure that's the same bar that Rudy Giuliani used.
Yeah.
If the majority of the voices in his head after the second box of wine say that it's true.
Wow. Hey, brother, you just compare me to RG, like for real. I'm feeling dirty now. I'm feeling a little drippy now. Something's sliding down my cheek. Might be a tear from all the laughter.
Oh God.
So, Anne, have you heard any rumors lately?
Nothing that compares to that.
I'll have my voices talk to your voices.
Yes, do that. That'll be a real party. Oh. I can't compete with that.
That is a hard one. I got nothing. I mean, I had some minor rumors about, I heard so and so liked somebody else and they passed him a note in English, but
it's all high school all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I
thought you heard a rumor about Daniel Cameron, and
that turned out to be true.
Oh, it wasn't a rumor. Oh,
it was not. It was not. But I tell you what, it was probably one of the best video ads I've ever seen.
Okay, well now you got a dish. You can't leave us hanging like that.
Okay, so there's a video ad of Daniel Cameron from 4 years ago when he was running for AG, the position that he currently holds. And he's just trashing Andy Bashir left and right. And he's trashing him based on the fact that he filed to, run for governor before his first term was even up. And he's just, word vomit after interview after interview about how Andy Bashir clearly did not respect the office. And he felt that, the office needed someone who gave it the respect that it deserved. And that should he be lucky enough, he would make sure to serve, 8 years of his time as Kentucky AG to prove just what that office was about and how important it was, yada, yada, yada. And here you are 4 years later, and Daniel Cameron did the exact same thing. What do you know?
So wait a minute, Ann. So it's going to be Danny Bot versus Fembot? If that's not some rock'em sock'em. In the Bobby world. Yes, that's some rock'em sock'em robot stuff right there.
I don't know if I'd call him Danny Bot, but you could definitely draw puppet strings on him and tie him to Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, puppet bot. I like that. I like the.
So we got our puppet versus our fembot. Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be interesting. I'm sure we'll have something to say about it when it gets a little meatier.
Yeah, when it gets a little closer. We're still we're a year and a half out from the gubernatorial election, so.
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
We got midterms.
Padawan.
We got midterms coming up here this fall. So
yeah, very true.
So anything else going on in the politics world we want to talk about today?
I mean, I have a little gem I want to talk about, but I want to hear what Ann has to say.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I got a couple things, but go ahead.
Well, I just want to call everyone's attention to, they probably already heard about it, but this guy, Eric Greitens, that's run, I think it's Missouri. And he put out this ad about hunting rhinos. I'm sure you all have seen it.
I have.
And
you mean like rhinos with a horn?
No, like Republicans in name only.
Those rhinos.
Those, yeah. And this is the dude that had to resign from the governorship because of allegations of illegal activity, which I know is shocking for everyone, but that's how you get in the GOP now, I guess. I don't know. But this ad is literally calling for people to shoot other people. I mean, there's no other way to read it. And it's just making me very nervous about the path of the GOP. I'm not even going to call it the Republican Party anymore. It's the MAGA Party or the grand old party. But the Republicans I respect and know have no part of it. So I don't want to call them Republican, but it seems like, you know, the old let's use these dog whistles has sort of been replaced by let's ring these clanging chimes of doom, you know, and just say the quiet part out loud all the time and call for people to be killed. And there's a term for that, and we should use it more, and it's called fascism.
Mhm.
And
Amen.
we need to make sure we call it out when we see it and say, nope, this is not okay. This is not what we want for our country. We settle our differences by voting democratically, not by shooting each other.
That's right.
And, you know, and he's talking about people within his own party. So it's not a party thing. So it's not the Republican Party. This is the MAGA. The maggot tumor that is like sitting on top of our democracy right now. And yeah, so fascism, call it out.
Yeah, but what's interesting about that kind of bleeds a little bit into one of the items that caught my attention, especially today, is you have this civil war going on within the Republican Party. There's definitely a fracture there. And, you know, which is why I had put something up earlier today stating that, you know, Nixon era Republicans put country and society and truth and integrity and honesty above party. And they should be lauded for that, for what happened during the Watergate investigation and trial and everything that led to Nixon leaving office. Today, we have a bit of a different kind of conundrum, and it's really interesting to me because you do have quite a lot, more than just a few, of Republicans testifying in these January 6th committee hearings who are, you know, saying the truth and telling what happened with Trump or his associates and the things that went down. But at the same time, they're also saying that they will not say that they won't support him should he miraculously become the nominee for 2024. And that's something that I
It's voodoo.
don't understand.
It's got to be. Somebody's doing some voodoo. That's just what I think, you know. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Well, how can you be brave enough to say the truth publicly, nationally, and then turn around and say, "Hey, if he ends up being the nominee, I can't see myself not voting Republican."
Yeah,
are you crazy?
Like, can't vote for a Democrat. Is that what you expect
I mean,
to do?
I don't expect him to vote for the Democrat, but if that's the case, vote for every other race and don't vote for the presidential race.
And obviously, I agree with you, but
I mean, if you can't go so far as to vote for someone just because they have a D behind their name, even though you know and you believe in your truest heart and with all your integrity that the other person committed multiple crimes, was seditious in his actions, and has no integrity in his entire body, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't. How you could vote for somebody like that and still support them, knowing what they did, it baffles the mind. It just blows the mind. But that kind of ties in to what you were talking about, this other guy in his ad, is you're going to see more and more in that. And if you paid attention to any of the elections, you know, these primary races and runoff races across the country, there's very much a lot of that going on where, you know, either the incumbent or the, you know, traditional Republican is challenged by definitely someone from the MAGA coalition.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like the dead body of the Tea Party, like climbed out of the grave and it's like chasing me down the street.
Well, and the other thing is somebody, you know, let's bring it home to Kentucky because I can tie it into Kentucky too. Last week I talked about Jason Means, who I said, you know, I at one time I at least considered him to be a more traditional Republican and someone who, you know, I have had conversations with via social media that didn't deteriorate into a bunch of, you know, nastiness. It was an honest exchange of differing opinions. And one in particular ended with him saying, "You've given me a lot to think about." So, which I thought was great. I'm like, this is how it should always be. We should always be able to talk across the aisle. Just because I don't care if everything you have to say is totally opposite from everything I have to say or believe, you should still be able to communicate. Because when communication shuts down, you got nothing. You got nothing and no chance. But Jason Means posted on Twitter, I think it was I don't know, within the last couple of days. There's just been so much news. I'm losing track of which day which thing happened. But he pretty much did come out and declare himself more of a traditional Republican. And he was talking about there are members of his party who are conspiracy theorists through and through and called them members of the John Birch Society. And I'm like, hallelujah, because we've been screaming this for the better part of a decade. And here you have a Republican saying it and trying to not only disavow that, but separate himself from that side of the party.
Well, you gotta imagine that they're sick of trying to deal with people that don't live in the same reality as they do.
Right. And it just, I don't know. I kind of liked it. I'm kind of hesitant to fully embrace it because I have seen things from him on one or two key issues where I'm like, come on, you know, you're kind of sliding into that direction. But I will say for the majority of the time, he does not seem to go there. So it's going to be real interesting to see how that plays out. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yep. It's going to be very interesting. All righty. Well, let's see. I think that's pretty much an action-packed episode for this week. And
well, I got one more thing for you, Roberto, and it comes kind of from your neck of the woods.
Uh-oh. I didn't do it, I swear.
Well, no. This blew me away. Rachel Roberts, who we all know and love, state representative from over in Campbell County, posted, because she supported this and was a big proponent of getting it passed, about how, and this was just a week ago, a bill to prevent sexual offenders from becoming police officers was signed into law.
Nice.
Okay, you say nice.
Yeah.
But my number one thing was, is it me or is it just beyond sad that an actual law needs to be enacted in order to prevent such a thing from happening? I mean, when someone applies to be a police officer, do they not get at least a cursory background check run?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Wouldn't this come up at some point? Are you telling me that somebody interviewing these guys went, not a big deal?
Either that,
mean,
or at some point, somebody didn't get a job because of that, and then they sued to get the job, or threatened to sue to get the job, and ended up getting the job because there was nothing officially on the book saying that prevents you from becoming a police officer.
And it's some good old boy stuff going on over there too.
well, I again, call me crazy.
You're crazy.
Insane. In the membrane.
It would seem to me that anyone trying to get a job as a police officer should have, no violations of the law.
I mean,
Well,
minor
if you're
traffic
gonna be-
violations. Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Okay,
parking ticket.
I could see simple stuff like that because stuff happens,
Yeah.
but
The vetting should be
No.
No,
stringent. Yeah.
I get the spirit of what you're saying. It's so something like that shows up. You would think that people in hiring position would go, yeah, we're not going to hire you to be a cop because you're a sex offender.
Right. I mean, seems kind of obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. You put it on the person, the interviewer or the interviewee, the person who has this in their background. I mean, wow. What kind of moxie
Nice
do
work.
you have to think, hell, it doesn't matter that I did this to that chick. I'm going to go apply to be a police officer.
I'm telling you,
I'm-
some of this is good old boy stuff. Like that's Jeb's cousin.
Yeah.
You gotta hire him.
I'll guarantee you that some people have they think that has nothing to do with it, and they really don't care. So, but it's
Well,
crazy.
wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you don't remember, but it's kind of like fading in and out now along the same theme. Wasn't it just like a year or two ago that they had to pass some law that police officers were not allowed to have sex with people in their custody?
Yes.
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 I mean, what the hell
Because
is going
that was
on with the
happening
police
a lot.
department in Kentucky? Right, but what the hell is happening with the police department in Kentucky? I don't care
Well,
what level you're talking about.
Apparently.
How long do you got?
I'm just like, oh my God. I saw that, and I know, most people's, probably 99.9% of people's first reaction is going to be like Amy going, nice. And but mine was, you've got to be kidding me. We had to make a law for that?
I bet you there's a
I
lot of
don't
people
know.
out there that have that reaction too.
See, I'm the
We had to
anomaly.
make this a
Look
law.
at me, anomalizing over here.
Yep.
Okay. That's all. I mean, it all kind of bled together there at the end, or it was a natural progression somewhat for me. I'm just like, I don't even know.
It's stream of consciousness, and we love it.
Yep. Yeah. All right. That's going to wrap it up for this week. And we appreciate you joining us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with our next episode. And I'm sure we'll have more fun stuff. And who knows, maybe we'll start having interviews again. in the
Yes, a
future.
guest might be in the works here soon. So
Yep.
stay
That would be nice.
tuned.
But
All right.
doesn't I think by the time we come back the next time, I believe that this session of the SCOTUS will be over, and I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up dedicating the entire episode to that.
That is likely what the next episode will be. So if you're a geek and a nerd like Ann and I and Roberto and I about the Supreme Court, then you'll definitely want to listen to that one.
Until then, this is Roberto Henriquez.
Amy Ferguson.
And Dickerson.
Left in Kentucky, the podcast of Indivisible Northern Kentucky.